People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
Today we have a legend in magic. Jon Armstrong is known the world over in the magic community. If you've taken a Disney cruise in the past, I don't know, decade, you've probably seen him on stage. He's been on Fool Us. He's been on Masters of Illusion, Magic Reel magazine, every magazine, magic magazine out there. He's been probably on the cover, if not multiple articles. Everybody, it's my buddy, Jon Armstrong. What's up, buddy?
How are you? Hey, guys. How are you both?
I am doing fantastic, man. I'm excited to have you on here today. I have so many questions. I followed your career. Not only am I a full-time magician, dude, I am a fan of magic. So I have seen videos of you performing at Disney. Mm-hmm. I have seen pictures, not the cruise ship, but actually Disney. I've seen your Fool Us. I've seen this stuff and just followed your career. And it's like, it's so awesome to get to meet you, to get to know you, and pick your brain and find out more about you because you're on the other coast and I don't get to hang out.
Yes, it's true. I live in LA these days.
Yeah. So originally from Orlando?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. As I say in my show, cultural center of the world. Land of opportunity if you're a roller coaster. And so I grew up there. I lived in Vegas for a little while, and then I moved from Las Vegas to Los Angeles in 2001, and I've been living in the LA area ever since.
How was your Vegas experience? Because I don't know
about
your career.
I worked at Caesar's Magical Empire, and I worked around some very amazing people who were not the most famous then, but now are legendary, and we've all stayed friends, which is great. Apollo Robbins, Armando Lucero being two people right there who are legends. They're real legends. You calling me a legend is amazing, but thank you. I appreciate the compliment. But those guys are incredible. And I used to joke when magicians would come to the Empire and see the show. I would say, "Oh, that guy over there, he's pretty okay at a watch steal. And then that dude, he does a matrix." And then just watch their minds just to be imploded by Apollo and Armando doing their things. They are incredible. So I did that. But as soon as that show closed, I left Las Vegas. When I say as soon, I no joke, my last day that I performed at the Magical Empire, I came to Caesars with a U-Haul, did my show, got into the U-Haul, left and moved to Los Angeles. There's nothing there for me once that show closed.
How long did that show run, or how long were you a part of it? 2 different things?
I was part of the last couple years it ran. I would say about 18 months, the last 18 months it ran, a little less than that maybe. And then, but the show itself lasted 6 years.
Okay, yeah. I only know of it from the Magic, what was it, the television show that came on November, World's Greatest Magic. They live from Caesar's Magical Empire.
Yes.
They did some stuff.
That was a big promotion thing.
So we went in 2008. We were looking for it, and it wasn't there. So it's like, wow, yeah,
all gone.
Yeah.
It lasted in a very weird capacity for much longer than people thought it was going to last. And it always kind of made money for it, and then eventually the casinos kept changing hands, and then the last person who bought it was like, all right, we got to get rid of this and put in something else. It became a nightclub.
Wow. So let's get started back at the beginning. I always like doing this. The earliest I've seen you is street performing type of thing at Disney. What was your earliest experience though? That's as far as I know you, but what was your earliest?
I grew up in Orlando around a lot of really great magicians. The first magician I ever saw live was a guy named Dan Stapleton, who runs magic history conferences now. And I saw Dan do his show at Circus World, which was a theme park, believe it or not, at the time, back in the day. And it was the big box stuff, and I was still very fascinated, but that didn't really get me as much at first. And then I saw a guy who played a character called H.P. Lovecraft, named after obviously the author, did a medicine show pitch at SeaWorld, and did a medicine show pitch, and then did magic with that. And he was funny. and he had like more like, he was doing carbonate and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I love that. That really got me into magic. And then I was 14 when I saw Terry Ward perform at the Studios Park, doing basically shell game and and card stuff and Benson Bowl, and I was like, no, that's what I want to do. And I became basically this kid that would go to Disney and watch. While everybody else was going on rides, I would just watch him every set I possibly could, and then eventually wore down and became my mentor, and is still a valued like a father figure to me to this day.
Wow. Did you work at the magic shop, or you just got a job like Terry?
No, I got very lucky. So I went to high school for the performing arts. Terry was very insistent upon me becoming more well-rounded as a performer and not just focusing on technical magic. And so I did that. And then when I was 20, there was a job opening for someone to be like the pub magician at the Rose Crown pub at Epcot. And I had to do a fake British accent, which I could do because of my training in theater school. And so I did that. And then I ended up basically doing whatever Terry couldn't do, because Terry was, he did 33 years as the guy at Walt Disney World. Only recently, was let go because of COVID, and, that's sad. But he was the guy, and then when he couldn't do it, like I would do whatever he couldn't do. So I got to sub in at the Diamond Horseshoe and do like a stand-up show. I did the Boardwalk doing a street show, which is what you were talking about earlier. I did street shows where I would sub in at different places. I got to perform at corporate events, weird, fake seances. I mean, you name the weird thing that you could have done for whatever, anywhere on the park. If they couldn't get Terry, they got me, and it became allowed me to become very well rounded in all aspects of the art.
Dude, what a lucky roll of the dice to get there, to get all those experiences thrown at you. Where I'm in Central Virginia, there's nothing here but kids' birthday parties to start out, and that was it. I mean, that was kind of the only thing I had to go on.
Central Virginia, you said?
Central Virginia, yeah.
Right. So I mean, how far are you from like Kings Island, Kings Dominion, that sort of thing?
45 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like theme park shows, because I was doing 5 shows a day, 5 days a week, multiple days, sometimes 6-7 days a week. Plus that there were days where I would do 5 sets at the Diamond Horseshoe and then have an hour to get from the Magic Kingdom to Epcot, and then do 5 to 6 more sets at my normal gig at the pub. So there were days where I was doing magic 12 hours a day, just constantly. And because like my contract was shows, but there were only shows, it's walk around magic, it's close-up magic. So you can't really make that into a show. So how I did it was I would get in around 4:30 a day, and then I would just roam around and, taking whatever break I needed to, just for biology and, water, or, going to the bathroom, that sort of thing. And then just perform continuously until I was done, until 9:30. And I just did that. So I was constantly working on new stuff. My repertoire is as large as it is because of the fact that I always needed to find and do more stuff, because for people who just hang out and keep watching, and I had to keep, I kept to the whole rule of you can't repeat a trick. So I literally just started learning everything I possibly could with a deck of cards or coins or whatever at the time. Yeah.
Well, see, with me, I ended up doing restaurants. That's the way I could advertise and do more shows, right? So every table I went to was a potential client, and we had return customers. So I always had to have a new trick for them every week. So every week I'd have something new. I'd have the old stuff, but something brand new I've been working on, just to keep that new stuff coming in, which really helped as well. But Kings Island, Kings Dominion, when I called them when I was 20 years old, they wanted to give me $10 an hour. And then I said, well, what about the big stage show? Well, we had Copperfield here, back in the 80s, and he couldn't do anything with the place. You really think you can? And kind of hung up the phone. So that was like, I don't want to do $10 an hour at a theme park either. So, yeah, I just kind of left it at that. Yeah. But I see, that grind and that constant repetition, that's priceless, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
I was luckily making more than 10 an hour at Disney, but besides that, like for me, like you were just saying how like it became a mindset for you. Like, you were doing restaurant magic, you were constantly getting to the next client, you were working on the next gig, right? So that has never been my mindset because I've been very lucky, and I realize that I'm lucky. I realize that I'm extremely fortunate, and I'm, this is I walked into something amazing, but that's never like getting clients, having to constantly go and and work on the business aspect of this stuff. I went from Disney to doing the show at Caesars, to basically being able to be in Los Angeles and just gigging around Los Angeles, and then having these long-term gigs. And now eventually my stand-up cruise ship career, which is just, I have an agent. The agent just winds me up and sends me where I need to go. And so I don't like, I'm the last person you want to ask for business advice. I'm the last person who understands any of that stuff that I know you know very well, Wes. And you guys, know how that hustle. I never was ever in that position to be that way, and I was sometimes very much to my detriment because there were definitely very lean years, So I've always approached things more about being a performer and less about any other aspect of the art.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I mean, you got the theatrical background. I have a marketing background, so we come at it at two different angles. Yeah. So I don't know where we want to go.
I don't know, man. We're just talking.
We have everything here. I have a whole list of questions. I asked you ahead of time. You have a little girl now that's a part of your show. Now our kids come with us to our show, but he does like a video montage and things. I think you saw it at that thing. Okay.
Yeah. In the show, you saw it at when I was there at MASE, right? MASE, yes. Yes. I'm dyslexic, guys. Any letters in any order is weird for me.
It's just the Alliance of Eastern States.
Yeah. Yes, Eastern States. Yes, and you're the president. I saw you got inducted. There was a ceremony. It was very weird. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Great.
I did a convention, and at the convention I did a lot of the stuff that I do on the ship, and one of the things I do on the ship is I use videos of my daughter doing magic, and you can't hear the air quotes, but there's air quotes, and those bits are part of the routines that I do in the long format. So I don't actually use the physical child in the show, but I'm using videos that I've taken of my daughter and pictures and stuff like that. It's as part of my routining for the show. Yeah.
But I know from a theatrical standpoint, that's harder than what I'm doing because I'm just rigging them out on stage. You have to update those because they change so much so quick.
Yeah, I'm still using this one video, and I probably will use it for a little while longer. With the joke, the jokes that like I had to change. The jokes over the last couple of years, and the other pictures I'm using, and I'm able to now get more video so I can show, sort of like her, getting older, But it started with the premise of, hey guys, I'm recently a dad, and now I have to be like, hey, I'm a dad. You can't you have to. Be in the real, and it was just a really good way to one, talk about something that really means something a lot to me, because she does mean a lot to me, but two, it's a way just to humanize me and to make people be reminded that I'm a real person up there with thoughts and feelings, and that I'm not out to trick anybody. It's not where I'm going for with this. This is all about entertainment, and I'm trying to give you something that seems magical and whatnot. And it's a kind of amazing. That's in my show on Disney. I do about an hour in the theater there. That piece with her, there's a couple of them, but the first starts about 15 minutes into the show, and I can totally tell the audience, the difference between the audience before and after that piece. Like, it's very obvious that like, oh, okay, we have to be nice to him. He's a nice man with a cute kid. Like, it's really interesting how that has really affected my work.
Wow. That's awesome, though. That's great that you can get that barometer from them as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to immediately start pitching the book, but like the book that I wrote is about like this insane, and I realize it's insane, but insane review ethic that I have for my shows. And I'm learning all these things because I have reviewed most likely every single show that I've done, because I film every single show that I do. I've reviewed it sometimes on the upwards of 20 times. and I constantly review and re-review and re-review, and that's where I'm learning from the shows. And I can see, and now because I'm getting to the point where I'm able to actually not just put the cameras and the mics on what I'm saying. I'm really trying to. I'm able to. Disney's very nice. I can patch into their audio systems that actually can hear the audience, and now I can hear the audience's response. So I can see and hear exactly what's getting the response and how they're affected. How they're affected by what's going on, and that's very, very important to how I'm trying to pace and and build the show.
Dude, that is so awesome. When we do shows, sometimes I have to ask Natalie, did they even react to that? Because I'm focused on somebody up here talking up front and they laugh or applaud or something. No, honey, they loved it. But having it patch in where you can actually hear them and you're not getting distracted. I have an audio thing. You have a dyslexia. Mine is I get hyper focused. If somebody's talking here, I can't focus on the audience. I get zoned into that and it messes me up. So I have to just get laser focused on my patter and just go into story mode.
Do you film your shows for review?
I film almost every show. I mean, unless it's just a small kid.
But do you review it?
Yeah. Well, we have our television show, Magiclife, Wes Iseli's Magiclife. So we edit all that down, and it's a reality show that follows my family around doing 400 shows a year.
Right.
So,
I know you have that. And that's amazing. I guess what I'm saying though is like, most people, when they film their shows, first of all, most people don't film and review their shows at all, because they just don't. They don't want to watch themselves, and they get very weird and very emotional about watching themselves. And my stance to that is, you have to watch yourself so much that you become so numb to it that you look at yourself like the same way you look at a avatar in a video game. You don't care if Mario dies. Well, you care about the game, but like you're just trying to get Mario to win. And that's the idea, right? You're just trying to get him to do the things you need him to do so you can win the game. And that's the kind of level that I'm talking about when it comes to the kind of review that I mean. Most people review, if they do review, they review for triage, is what I call it. Triage, which basically is, oh, I flashed this line flubbed, the light's wrong here, and then they fix the problems. What I'm saying is it's got to be deeper than that. If you really want to expand out and build from the material that you're doing, you can't just fix problems. You need to find ways to improve what is already working, and realize that like there are pathways in which once you maybe, let's say, fix something to the point where it probably doesn't need much more fixing, then that same path that you were going on might lead you down to a new routine that you can then add into the show later. So it's not just review for again, to fix or to triage. It's review to then build your show based on the character that you're watching on that screen, so that you really can write for yourself because you then understand your voice.
Well, our thing is instant gratification. I'm not even reviewing it. I'm asking her live on stage because we're together on stage constantly. Yeah. So I'm like,
it must be great to work with a partner. I mean, my wife wants nothing to do being on stage whatsoever. But it must be nice to work with a partner and have someone there to actually listen and feel what's going on in the moment, for sure.
Dude, to put out fires if something goes wrong. It's just right there. She's right there, ready to rock and roll. Yeah, it's so nice. I can't recommend it enough. But get a good one. There are bad ones out there.
I'm pretty much going to stay with the whole solo thing. I think my wife would be very weird if I start just traveling with somebody. But yeah, so there you go.
Hey, they do it all the time. One of our first, I think we said it during the live podcast at MAES. One of the first conventions, do you ever rent yourself out to other magicians? They ask my wife that. Yeah. They do it all the time. Yeah. People bar.
Well, you mean you're just good at what you do. I mean, that's a compliment, I guess. I would go a compliment, I guess.
It's a great.
Yeah, well, it came across creepy, but yeah, okay.
Yes, that's why I said I guess, because you're right. I was at that taping, and it was creepy.
Yeah.
So, I've never met your wife. I don't know your wife, but before we got on the Zoom here, you said that your wife writes for Genie Magazine. I had no idea.
Yeah, my wife is the edits and writes the I column, which is the news column. So what she does, her job is that she's a reporter, entertainment reporter, writes about film and TV and books and things like that for different online sites. And she just recently, in the magic world, she just recently wrote an article for the Smithsonian Smithsonian.com or .org, I guess, and about Della Odell, the woman magician from like the 40s and 50s, who was really a huge pioneer in television. People don't realize that she was one of the first people to have a show on TV, and she was a woman doing magic. And so she wrote about that. But she's written stuff for like Travel and Leisure and New York Times and LA Times and all this other stuff. And so she writes for real publications, no offense to Jeannie, and then basically uses those skills that she does for real reporting about news stuff, but for magic news and what's happening in the magic world and stuff that magicians might be interested in finding out what's happening around the world.
So is she a big fan of magic? Does she do any magic?
She loves magic. I was very clear. It was very important to me that if I was going to marry or date anyone, that they could not like magic. I never understood the idea when I met magicians who said, "Oh, my wife hates magic," and I'm like, "Why would you?" Why would you be with that person? And so she likes it. She doesn't want to perform it. She's not a performer. That's the last thing she wants to do. But she likes it, and she really likes the Magic Castle, and she loves that community. And so she learns about the stuff. Let's be honest, I'm the one feeding her the stuff that I've seen around, and then she is able to find stuff through her actual being a reporter channels, because she gets press releases from things. But yeah, it's something that she likes doing, and been doing it now for at least last 3 or 4 years, and yeah, it's been pretty cool. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So you mentioned Magic Castle. Were you ever on the board?
I was the chairman of the board of trustees. Yes, there's 2 boards, the board of directors and the board of trustees. I was on the board of trustees.
Okay, all right. Because you were always. How often do you perform there? It seems like you're always there.
I was there quite often for a long time. Recent years, not so much, just because of my travel schedule with Disney. When I am home, I just want to be around the little one, Maddie. Yeah, I was there a lot, and I performed in all the showrooms multiple times, and that's it's pretty good.
It's pretty awesome. So how about awards from the castle? Did you get like a lecture of the year or anything like that?
I've been nominated for lecture. I've been nominated for parlor. I've been nominated for close-up a bunch of times. I've only won one. I have won close-up magician of the year one time.
Nice.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. I know you from Magic Reel. Did you enjoy doing the Magic Reel things? You were doing
the Real Magic Cosmos thing?
Yeah. What was your article in that? I can't remember the name of it. It was like a thing.
I did a piece. Yeah, I did an article, online article, like a video article called "Small Things, Big Difference."
Yeah,
where I talked about this minutia that I'm talking about, where being able to change, literally changing a word can drastically change how the show is perceived. And mostly that was talking about close-up stuff back then. Yeah, that was a fun thing to do with Cosmo. Cosmo was a great guy. I put out Tiny Plunger with Cosmo the first time before we did the thing with Tenyo, and yeah, that's really great resources. I mean, that is the easiest money spent in magic. If you no joke, there's no reason why anyone shouldn't have a subscription that's $5 a month, and you get all this insane content for all the years. It's really good stuff there. Good resource.
So what about your Penguin lectures? How did that go? You did 3 Penguin Live lectures. I was a subscriber to all of those.
Oh, yeah, I did. What I'd say, let's see, I did 3 of those, 1 live act, so 4 total. They all went well, I guess. I don't know. They're pretty well received. I mean, I'm not a huge magic innovator. I mean, I'm the first person to tell you that. I'm just very good at in seeing things and changing the things for the bigger picture. And so a lot of my magic and a lot of things that I'm talking about is how to take stuff that's already out there and make it make it better. And yeah, and then I did the last one I did was about when we were all in our homes and doing virtual shows. I had a lot of takes on that because I did a lot of virtual shows, and some of that stuff is still actually very valuable to me now because it allows me to do really cool stuff where the entire audience, even in a live in-person show, can interact in really fun ways that they wouldn't have been able, that I wouldn't even have thought about pre the pandemic. So definitely some good came out of that.
That's awesome, dude. 4 of them. I mean, there was hundreds of magicians that got on there, and a bunch of them got 2. but I don't know of many that got 4. I mean, there is a small group. I mean, it's a handful. That's pretty awesome.
I guess I mean, I'm lucky enough to say that.
Legend of Magic, man. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
see, stop it.
So tell me about your Disney shows. Are you just doing one straight show? Do you have to do like Craig Diamond and do like or David Williamson has to do like a kid show and then an adult show and then
so it's basically the Disney structure is still the same as when David did it. So when pretty much has always been the same. You do a family show, it is not a kid show. There's a very big distinction there, and that is in the 1,000-seat theater, the Walt Disney Theater. So you're a variety act. You're there on a night where they're not doing the gigantic Broadway version of Aladdin or something. So that's the big show. And then there is a secondary show in a smaller venue, normally about a 300 to 400 seat venue, kind of a loungy type venue. And that's for an adult show. And that is just for adults and up, but it is still Disney, right? So it's not just, it's not dirty or anything. It's not blue, but you're definitely more sophisticated. You're encouraged to do something that is a little, just for the parents. And that is, the second show you were having to do. So most people do those things. And then a few others also do a workshop where we teach kids how to do a couple quick tricks and whatever. And that's a good place for me to be able to sell the merchandise and just, I use it like a / work on new material, part, play with people and do like a meet and greet because people want to meet you after the shows. Because what I say when it comes to cruise ships is that it is 50% show and 50% schmooze. It's unlike a show where you are going to a venue, doing the show and leaving the venue. You are with these people for a good few, 3, 4, 5 days still. So the more you're able to like go out and, mingle with people and have other things going on, that's going to help your scores rise. They like you. The more they like you, they're gonna put your scores. The thing about it is that I've always said that my show is designed to make people want to be my friend, because who do you want to hire? You hire your friends. Who do you want to say nice things about? You want to say nice things about your friends. And so that's the idea. So that everything is about that. And giving myself another opportunity to give them a chance to know me and play, me do some fun stuff with them, always helps make the scores happen higher.
So how long are you on the road away from your family when you do that?
It depends. I mean, I still do corporates and, and all that such too. And then, whatever sort of local things pop up here in Los Angeles. But I would say that the majority of the time I'm gone probably every other week. So I'm on the ship for a week, back home for a week, on the ship for a week, back home for a week.
Well, at least you're not doing 3 to 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
No, I wouldn't do it, and my wife would kill me. So it's just two-pronged answer there about that. No, that would not happen because I am very lucky. I'm working for a cruise line that allows me to bring my children, my child, and my wife for free. They can come with me whenever they want, and they're totally good with that. The only thing is, my wife's got this career where she cares about working and such, and because of that she can't always go on a cruise where the Wi-Fi is not going to allow her to do her job, and so that is a factor. But for the most part they come with me a fair amount of the time. We got a couple coming up this year where they get to come, and so Maddie knows all the characters by name. She gets to hang out with them. It's kind of an amazing way to be raised if you really think about it.
Yeah,
no, I
mean,
mean, kidding. So, I mean, having our kids with us, they've gotten to experience things and see things that I didn't experience till I was in my 30s and 40s. It's pretty awesome, man. Yeah. So I want to talk about your Marvel hat you have on right there.
Oh, sure.
I told my wife, you are a Marvel. I love DC Superman, but I saw something online that you set through like a movie marathon for Marvel. Can you tell my wife about that?
Oh yeah, my wife wrote about that actually. I've done multiple of those. First of all, to be very clear, I'm a comic fan. I love superheroes. Okay. And my wedding ring, I don't know, you can't tell, but look at that. See if you can look at it. Does that look familiar to you at all? That's the Batman utility belt, baby.
Yeah, it was Batman. I was like, I think it's Batman.
I have your comic book. I have your comic book in my collection.
Yeah, right there.
You
right there.
Book.
I did.
It's back.
Oh, thanks, man. Awesome. Yeah.
wall. I'm just now putting it together. Yes, I do have
Yes, I
that.
wrote a comic book. Yeah. So anyway, no, I love Batman. Batman's still my favorite character in all of fiction. So I love Batman. But let's be honest, sometimes like when it came to the movies and just amazing stuff, the MCU was just putting out some amazing stuff, right? So and I became a big fan of that. And I've always been a big fan of Marvel Comics to begin with, but as far as the film goes, and yeah, I just love that stuff. And so I just nerd out. And as a dyslexic, as someone who is extremely dyslexic, comics were the only way that I could really pleasure read. I've read a lot of these magic books behind me. I read them all actually, but I read these books, but there's a process that I have to go through to be able to really retain or learn anything from these books. It's much harder for me to do that. And it is work. It is work. But it's worth it, but it's work. And to pleasure read, I can't just pick up a novel and read it. That would my brain would just bleh. And so comics allow me to be able to pleasure read and enjoy the reading experience because because of the small bites of the word balloons, the framing, the visual pictures. It gives me more to focus on than if I was just to read straight text, which again would just start swirling on the page. If you know anything about how dyslexia works. And so and it's dyslexia is there's this belief that you see things backwards. That's not the case. That's not really how it works. How it really works is it's actually you begin to switch letters at random spots. So I just have to go back and end up reading the same like 5-letter word over and over again because I can't see where the letters are literally switching on me. That's how it works. And it's not fun. So because of that, like I learned the classics when I had to go through high school. I learned that through Classics Illustrated. Like there was these comic books that were like, Robert Louis Stevenson and like Charles Dickens and all that sort of stuff. Like that's how I was able to get graded on tests when I had to read, Great Expectations or Moby Dick or something. And I still to this day love the medium of comics, and most people associate comics with superheroes, but the comics is a medium. It's just a way to tell stories, and there's so many different types of stories you can tell in that medium. I try to read a lot of different stuff. Currently, I'm reading a book called Something is Killing the Children, which is a horror book, a really amazing, interesting take on that horror type stuff. And there's really amazing like love stories and Western and science fiction and all things have nothing to do with guys in capes and tights, but I still love guys in capes and tights. So that's my fiction for that has been very deep for me. I believe there is a lot of overlap between magic and comics, like the way it's perceived. Comics is just for kids. Magic is usually referred to as, they think of it as a genre, not a medium. Magic is a medium to tell amazing stories. Comics is a medium to tell amazing stories. And so that's the thing that I really, I think, gravitate to the most. And if I can give you all a book recommendation that has nothing to do with my book, the book that I would read right now, everyone should read, if you haven't read it, is a book called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud is a book about what I'm just saying. It's about how the comics form and how it tells stories and why it's so effective and what makes it such an amazing medium. And now read that, go back and read it. And every time it says comics, put in magic. And more often than not, you're going to have the best magic philosophy book ever written because he is talking about how to change people's perspective, where to make them look, in this case, on a page. He's talking about how to use color, design, and all of that is stuff we can apply to our shows.
You put it to your shelf behind you, and I have to go behind this wall and find it. It's in my comic book collection. Is it on the shelf behind you? Can you hold it up to the screen? Your comic book?
Sure. Yeah.
It's still available.
This is Smoke and Mirrors. This is the book that I wrote with Mike Costa, who is a writer on the TV show Lucifer, and one of my best friends, and an artist by the name of Ryan Brown, who's doing insane stuff worked for Marvel and DC, but what he's doing right now is a book for Image called 8 Billion Genies, which just recently got bought by Amazon, and they're doing a show on it, and he's the designer of that. And we wrote this book. We named this character after my mentor, Terry Ward. He's actually named Terry Ward. And I'll show you this might be of interest to magicians. So we have a scene that takes place at the Magic Castle. You can see the Magic Castle right there. And then check this out. This is me and Howard Hamburg on a couch at the Magic Castle. That's what that is right there.
That's
so
awesome.
We put stuff like that. We literally, the line is, I must have seen Howard do that spelling trick 5,000 times. So we literally talked about stuff like that in the book. Little references for the magic folk. And then we were really fortunate. We got writers magic writers to write about in each of the individual comics. We got them to write about cool, interesting things about magic. And then in that collected edition, we had that all collected. And then I did a sort of a Easter egg, I guess, for the lack of a better term, of all the things, like I just pointed out, of all the magic references that people might have missed in the book. So yeah, it's a fun thing. They're sold out. I have no idea if you even buy them anymore, but if you find one on eBay or something, pick it up.
Wow. Well, I got one. Have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen the Hocus Pocus book? By
Yeah,
Richard?
so that's the Richard what's this? Wiseman. That's right, Wiseman's thing. It's great. I love that book. It's really, really well done. And when he wrote about it, he mentioned the Smoke and Mirrors thing about my book. I was very touched about that.
So getting back to your book, though, it is called what? How to Win.
How to Win, yes.
And it's available at cardjon.com.
Yes.
What else besides review and tape? Can you give us some
well, there's some routines in it. Some routines that you saw me do at the convention that we were at. A really interesting idea with both jumbo and or regular sized Uno cards. They give cards across. A really fun and strong way to do it. A routine done with an old Abbott's hole-in-one that adds a huge level of magic to it and makes it, I think, a really solid piece of family magic. So the adults are like, wait a minute, they did not see that coming. And that's always great to do when you're doing a family show. And a couple other interesting magic pieces in it. And then the most important part of it are the essays. There's 3 sections: the tricks, the opening essays, which are sort of random thoughts about going from close-up to stage, thoughts about like material selection, what one should do, learning how to really develop the routines, blocking, things like that I think are very important. A premise that I'm very, 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 very adamant about, that I refer to as being in one, where I think the audience needs to see you by yourself on stage for a far longer than most magicians do in their shows. They have a tendency to bring people up. And then when that happens, you get lost because you're now the second most interesting person on that stage to the audience. I want them to know who I am, what's going on, and whatnot. Ideas of audience involvement and how to actually really pick people and what all that is. And then some thoughts about, again, material selection. And then 5 things, and I won't go over them because it's a bit heavy, but it's 5 things that when I do this insane reviews, going to talk about the reviews, that I'm constantly looking for to improve in my shows. And that's ways to unite a crowd, to then engage a crowd, to train a crowd, to respect the crowd, and to really impress the crowd. And I feel if you do those 5 things at all times, you're gaining something that is going to allow you to win, which is my sort of way of describing how we get the audience to be on our sides and to want to come back and see us over and over again.
Like the video game, you just want to win. You want that little
character.
Win
the video game, exactly. Yeah. That's the point. Yeah, it's about creating something that is giving them a unique experience. The problem, not a problem, the problem is a bad word to use, but the struggle that happens especially when people come from close up to stage, or in sometimes just the idea of platform or parlor or stage magic in the first place, is that there is a barrier that is built up. And close up, people always talk about, oh, close up was so, I like close up better because of X, Y, and Z. They're talking about the closest, the intimacy, whatever. But I feel like that is obviously a factor, but it's more than that. I think it's about like the conversational aspect of it. They got to experience something that felt very intimate to them, a unique experience. So how we can take something that is normally very presentational, which is being on stage, they're sat, you're standing, and you're on a microphone, and you're talking down to them, not down to them in a pejorative way, but like just talking like you're on a stage and they're lower than you, and then if you are able to make that, as opposed to making it presentational, try to make that more conversational, how we can actually unite the crowd so then we can have a conversation with an entire body of people. So they become one Borg-like entity, and they believe, and they actually feel like their presence matters. And that's the important thing, because if I could have watched the show on a TV screen, then why did I show up? If we have these devices in our pockets that allow us to see whenever we want, why did I put on clothes and drive all this way if I could have just sat on my couch and watched it? I need to feel like, as an audience member, that my presence mattered, that I had something to do with how the course of the show went. And because I was there, the show went this way as opposed to that way. And if they feel that, if they feel like they have a unique experience, now we're giving a large group something that feels more like close-up magic. And that, I feel, is where we need to kind of go towards. Because what we're selling is not what we can sell. Let me rephrase it. We are selling entertainment, sure. But there's lots of ways to have entertainment. But the only advantage that our entertainment has over any other entertainment that, again, can be on those screens or in those devices, is that we can provide unique, intimate, real, live experiences. And we have to heighten that as much as possible, because people can feel when they are being spoken at and not to. And that's my small way of describing everything that I've mentioned is basically in the book.
No, but I think of Matt King. I mean, how many people go see Matt King's show and feel like they saw something unique, and the first time that's ever happened that way, and it was scripted, but it did happen because that person was on stage. It did happen because they were in that moment.
Exactly.
But Matt, yeah, it's
Mac's a great example. I mean, there's other examples through like Piff, and I can go on and on with all people who do this. The Ben Teller. I mean, there's many people do this, but many people don't do this. And I think there's never been any way to just like focus and like explain, like, look, guys, this is why this works. And I was just trying to find a way to make it very clear that's what needed to happen for us to really move forward with making magic less about how convenient it is for us as the performers, and make it more about how special it is for them, the people who are watching it. I mean, look at how much magic is sold by, you can get 8 minutes out of this, or it packs small and plays big, it's easy to carry. That's all things that don't matter to the audience. That's all things that only matter to us. And if our mindset is constantly about what makes our lives easier and our lives better, and not the audience's, well, then maybe there's a reason why they're not showing up to these shows. Again, if I can watch it at home in my pajamas, why am I getting out of my bed?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. When you said your N1 needs to be longer than what most people, what do you think most people do? You think they just...
I think people have a tendency, I think two things happens. Yes, I'll answer the question. I think two things happen. I think thing number one is that they'll come on stage, say, hey, everybody, how's it going? I need to find 2 people from the audience to come up here on stage. Instantly, I have no idea who this person is. I have no idea who this person is asking me to come on this stage.
When I think of that, I think of the castle. The castle has people set down right away. I mean, you don't have a chance.
That's a little different because of the close-up room and the closeness of the environment. Sitting down in a smaller space feels different than standing up in front of 1,000 people. You know, there's a big difference there. But to your point, I think like it's more about I need to have you understand who I am, what I'm about. You know my character. You know what I'm capable of. You've seen me talk to the audience or people in the audience from the stage, so that now when I ask you to leave the comfort of your seat and the anonymity of the dark, and I then bring you up on stage to basically do the biggest fear that everyone seems to have. Number one of the biggest fear is public speaking. You need to know who I am before I ever try that. Because two things will happen. One, if you immediately come out and they have no idea who you are, and you just start picking people, then the show becomes like, well, the guy did some stuff. They don't remember who you are, what your character is, what went on. They have no idea. Person did things, right? That's just gobbledygook. No one remembers you. Okay, that's the number thing that happens. The second thing that happens is that if you come up and you say, "Hi, I need you to come up on stage," and they go, "No," well, guess what? They've now just given the audience, every other member of the audience, permission to say no. And how many times have you sat in a room where a magician has done this, and you feel that awkward feeling of them trying to get someone up on stage and they can't do it? It just brings everything down to just a slow, like, awkward crawl. And I feel like two things need to happen. One, the beginning of the show should be about you and your interaction with the entire crowd. Again, we're trying to unite and engage them. And the second thing is that once you do start bringing people up, and they're on stage, that there should be pieces in between where you don't do that, where you go back to being by yourself on stage and interacting with the crowd as a whole. And so that way there is texture and flow to the show, and it doesn't just become, this is the solo part with me and this is the part with everybody on stage. And so now there is variety. Because let's be honest, some of the venues, I mean, you guys know this better than, probably most people, is that some of the venues are, a board shaped in a rectangle, and you have to perform in a board or a rectangle, and you have no lights, no sound, you have nothing really to to gather guitar. If you want to, you have no prop, no big sets. You can't bring in like a gigantic set and have wings and all this. So to add variety to your show, the easiest way to add the variety is to just change the pace of what's on that stage. And so, for example, think of it like, and this is not my concept. It's actually a concept of a guy named Doug Dale. What's his last name? His first name is. It'll come to me. But he wrote a book called Becoming Better, which is an excellent book. I highly recommend it. But he talks about shapes on stage, and the idea is like the solo me shape is one shape, but the shape of two kids is another shape. The shape with you and two adult men is another shape. And each shape then allows you to have different looks on the stage so that you're constantly going back between different shapes. So when you have 5 people on stage, when you're doing toss out deck in the house, when you're going out or in the house, you're doing a trick with people in the house itself, that allows you to change the shape and have different patterns that are on stage without having to change scenery. And that's really important. The more we can add variety, the better off we are.
I'm thinking here. I'm thinking. I'm hitting all the check marks. I'm taking notes here in my head. I start out. I think I do like 8 minutes before I get the first person on stage. Mm-hmm. Then we have a person help from the audience, so that's different. And I'm doing a by-play with my wife and with them, and it's a triangle shape. And then we do an illusion, which is wheeling the big box out. That's totally different. And then we might get somebody else up. And then we do a close-up thing with the screen and the projector. And yeah, I think I'm getting check marks here. I think you'd be proud.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's kind of funny how often people have done it without actually thinking about it this way, because if they just realize that's what's the the good thing. You know what I mean? They realize that that's what is the best format for the show. I'm just trying to give someone people an actual playbook when they're putting these shows together. They understand, you know. And and I will say this, like when it comes to audience involvement, I talk about this in the book. There's like 7 steps to me, and the last 3 are when you get people on stage, right? And the first 4 though are when you do these what I like to call bridge things, where I talk to somebody in the house individually, but I'm on stage and they're down there. Or now go further. I talk to somebody and I hand them an object, or they hand me an object, and I do what I need to do with the object, but I do it on stage while they're down there. So the interaction that way. Or like a complete bridge piece where you then do tossed out deck, where they're doing stuff, but they're still just standing up in their seats and they're in the house. And that allows you, if you do those pieces, which you just mentioned, you know, Wes, like when you guys do that in your shows, that bridge, then it gets them, they then see how you are with people in general before you bring someone up. And that's very important. And that helps out getting far less no's. Older cruise ships, these passengers that are known that go on and are known for not wanting to get on stage. Like for these old luxury cruise lines are just known that they want to get on stage. And by doing this, by developing this type of show where I was doing most of it in one and then very gently introducing the idea that they were going to come up, then they came up. And I had cruise directors being like, wow, I can't believe you get these people on stage. No one ever wants to go on stage, but you're doing it. Because there's a difference between going, hey, you, come here. That's a big D move. That's a big D move. You're like, hey, you know, come here. Right? The big difference between that and they've seen you, they understand what you're about, they get your sense of humor, whatever, and then you go to them and you talk to them and you then say from their spot where you're standing next to your seat, hi, what is your name? Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Great. I would love for you to come up here with me, grab my hand, please, let's go on stage, and you help them on stage. There's a gigantic valley between those two things. But we're going to end hopefully with a person on stage. But one, you can't start with. You have to earn the idea that you can then say, hi, would you like to come and help me and bring them on stage? Like, you have to go out immediately. And I make it a big deal that the first time I ever bring anyone up on any show is always me going out to the house, inviting them personally, you know, holding out my hand to either shake or hold their hand as they come up on stage, because again, a lot of older passengers, and then they come up. And that's it. And that's going to get me those people to come up there, and then once they see that, they're much more comfortable with me. And then the level 7 is where you actually leave someone on stage that's from the house, and you go into the house and you talk to them while you're in the house and they're on stage. Like, that is the hardest thing to achieve, because no one wants to be out there completely alone. But if they feel comfortable with you in general, they will eventually do that. And there's some really great ways you can use that to make the tricks really about the spectator, about the person who's up on stage, and focus all the attention and energy on them.
I wish you had this book 20 years ago. I mean, it would we beat our heads against the wall. How come we have to figure this out the hard way? Thank you for writing this book. I mean, it's seriously, that's a good thing to have, man.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate
it. Yeah. Dude, we're all over the place though. I need to go back. You mentioned something. Sure. Tiny Plunger. Did Tenyo buy the rights from you?
No, I'm telling you, no. So Matthew Bish and myself, the two people who I sort of the parents of this thing. It's my routine and my idea. The original, the sticky tape. When I say the idea of the plunger itself and the routine, the idea of the picking up the amount of cards and using the breather crimp and all that sort of stuff is Matthew Bish, and you know, quite a genius to say the least. And so we went to Tenyo and said, and they wanted the trick, and we did this together. And the idea was it wasn't selling rights really; it was just about them being able to produce the trick in their format with a gimmick that was not a breather crimp. That's something that actually Matthew created. and they did that in Japan, and it was a big seller, I guess, in Japan. So it's just neat to have my picture on a Tenyo box. That is that alone, it was worth it for me.
I have a huge collection of Tenyo, and I didn't buy it because I have the original Tiny Plunger. I thought it was something. I thought it was a re-release. So now I have to go out and get it because I love Tenyo.
Yeah, if you can find one. I mean, they're hard to find, but yeah, no, I have mine here somewhere. But yeah, it's like it's in the other room. But yeah, I have the Tenyo box with me and Matthew's picture on it. Yeah, yeah, dude, but yeah, it was amazing to me, and I still to this day have people who, when they're in Japan, will take a picture of them next to the Tenyo display with my picture on it, and that makes me happy.
That's awesome. And another thing we skipped over: how long was that movie marathon of Marvel that you attended?
Oh, it was we did it. It was 2 days.
Wow.
Did you literally sit in the theater for 2 days?
Yeah, you had to sleep in the theater for 2 days. So it was every single film up to Infinity War.
Wow.
So at that time, I think that was 20 films. So do the math.
And it was just nonstop. It was just a which
one? Small breaks. They would have small breaks between the movies, both for like food, like because the deal was you stayed there the whole time. They let you bring in blankets and pillows and crap. And it was like everyone had neck pillows. It was like the only time it was though the theater was gonna like lift up and like move like a plane. So and the theater seats are these old school theater seats, so they were very uncomfortable. They were not the modern theater seats at all. And then you would go and you would get food 3 times a day at this like outside concession stand, and then you would go back in and do this. And yeah, we did it. It was insane. And the whole deal was that we would be the first people to see Infinity War before anybody else, other than like obviously the filmmakers. And so we did this. And remember now, this is I don't know if you've seen Infinity War, and this is kind of a spoiler, but I will explain quickly. And so we had just spent all this time with these characters, and they would have the actors from the different movies introduce the movies. So like Chadwick Boseman came out for Black Panther, and like just Tom Holland came out for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like insane levels of people were coming out to do these talks, and like, then
interviews from them. It wasn't just a blip on the screen.
No, they physically were in the building.
Wow.
Tom Holland actually stayed and watched the movie with us. Like they gave him a seat and he watched the movie, and then he would it was kind of amazing. But anyway, so we did all that. And then so we've just spent all this time with all these characters. And now, we're like getting ready to finally watch, this Infinity War. It's gonna be amazing. And so we watch Infinity War, and if you remember what happens at the end of Infinity War, like the snap, and then they all go away, and Thanos wins, right? Essentially. And that was it. And there was no post-credit scene. There's nothing post. And so imagine we spent all this time with the characters, and now this is happening. Like there's no way any audience reacted the same way that we did when we saw that movie. There's no way, because we were just like, no, what's going on? No, it was amazing.
I'm getting goosebumps because Tom Holland's reaching out for Iron Man,
yeah. All that's happening, and then that's it. We're like, well, we know another movie's coming, but man, like we just spent all this time, and imagine our like sleep deprived, insanely, eating like ridiculous shitty food, like the worst, like seats unmanageable. This is like CIA level, torture, and then we do this, and then we see this movie, and at the end we're like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen now? And yeah, nothing will ever, that is the best theater experience I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, honest as well, but nothing will ever beat that, because again, being in a room with all these people all reacting the exact same way, insane.
Wow. So I remember you doing that on Facebook, and I'm like, I could not sit through this for 20 hours. But having the people come there, that's an amazing thing that can only happen in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an LA experience right there.
Yeah, that was amazing.
We have like 4 minutes left. I just have this question. This is just a personal question. What do you think your percent, because cardjohn.com is your website. what percent of your shows is card magic? I mean, I saw you do the
it's I'm never going to change it because I just don't want. This is who I am, and it's so known now. But I was a card only magician for the first good 25 years of my time in Magic. Like period. Like I just did card tricks. Period. I learned a lot about all magic, but I performed only card magic. Very rarely did I do anything other than card magic, and that's how I made my living for the longest time. And then about 10 years ago, when I went on this journey to become a stand-up magician, I realized that I could not make that work the same way, and I needed to find a way to take my voice, the person. I don't really think of it as a character, and I have a whole thing about that too. But like characters about people talk all of us about character when in actuality, if they can just find parts of themselves and build it up, that's probably usually a better way about being genuine with your audience. And so I wanted to take that voice and bring it into other things. And I realized that I could not do that just by doing just card magic. So now I would say that other than the plunger, because I still do that with cameras and screens because I'm very well known for it, did on Penn and Teller and all that. And a couple other things I do in my other sets, my stand-up sets, where I do like a card under watch routine, stand-up card under watch routine where I constantly am I'm getting the card underneath the watch multiple times. Other than that, there's really no card magic in the traditional sense. I'm using big things sometimes as card like the Uno cards, but I'm using like gigantic Uno cards. No one thinks of that really as a card trick for the cards across. I'm using like gigantic number cards for like gags or whatever. But other than that, no, there's no card tricks. I mean, the things I'm doing right now, I'm doing like the weird thing with the board. I do a routine. It's a rope routine, but I'm doing it with my tie. At the end of my long tie transforms to a bow tie. I'm doing a weird what's next routine. I'm doing stuff that no one who knew me 20 years ago and then would never think in a million years that that's the stuff I'd be doing now.
Well, the stuff you showed, a lot of that, what's next and the cards across, it's great stuff. The tie, I love that whole tie routine.
Oh, thanks, man.
But I loved it. Dude, you were awesome. This was awesome. Time has flown. We're out of time. Cardjon.com and his new book, How to Win. Get them because you still have a couple left, right?
Oh, I do. I got a few left.
All right, good. Go to cardjon.com. I'll put it on the Facebook group and we'll promote the heck out of it for you, buddy. I hope you sell it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And only thing left we have to say is see you next week.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.